Black Ops Chapter 6. Are you sure you don't want me to drive you? Aunt Shelley asked. Yeah, me and Jason are going to walk together, Rita revealed with a smile. Oh, okay, Shelley smiled. Rita met Jason at the end of the driveway and they began their journey to school. They laughed and joked all the way to school. She was going to keep the incident from the night before to herself for now. They arrived at school and Mr. Buxton was waiting for her at the front door. Miss Thomas, Mr. Buxton said, go to the study room in the library. There is someone there to speak to you. Yes, sir, Rita said and turned to Jason. I know, I'll see you later, Jason laughed. Rita walked toward the library and waved at the librarian on her way to the study room. She walked in to see Detective Michaels and the second man, whose name she didn't know yet. Rita, Michaels said and pointed to a seat on the other side of the table. I forgot to introduce my partner here, his name is Austin. Rita nodded at Austin. The main thing that I wanted to tell you is, outside of your circle of friends and family, we are the only ones you can trust. Michaels pulled out some pictures. This is the car we will be driving, this is the license plate of the car, and this is the building we will be renting some office space. He then gave her the address of the office and began to pick up the photos. If you need anything, this is the number to call. If we are not at the office, look around, we are keeping our distance, but we'll be there. He pulled out a second set of photos and placed them on the table. These are the other people following you, this is the van and this is a possible location they are staying. He looked up at her, we are working on identifying them. Okay, Rita looked at the two men, now, this is when you tell me why they're following me. Michaels returned the photos to the folder. We think the man that was arrested at the school the other day, Rita nodded, was looking for you. A look of shock came over her face. Why? Your dad, Michaels said bluntly. What does my dad have to do with anything? He died 7 years ago. She looked at the two men. What information could still possibly interest someone? Then a look of revelation came over her. What is it? Austin questioned her. The only reason that information is still good is because someone was and is a double dash. Yep, Michaels confirmed her suspicion. She now had a stunned look. So how does this involve me? I mean, obviously my dad didn't talk to me about what he did, much less give me information. What you need to do is think about anything your dad gave you, Austin reported to her. Think long and hard about the last few things you did that involved him, letters he sent, places you went, gifts he gave you, anything. Classes are going to start in about 10 minutes, Michaels instructed her. You need to go to class, but it might be a good idea to get your aunt to drive you to work for a little while. Rita nodded and stood up. You have my father's file, don't you? Neither of the men responded. I'll take that as a yes. She hesitated for a minute. I want to see it. The two men looked at her as they considered their options. Look, I know this is sensitive information, she conveyed to the two. Even if I spouted to the first reporter who was willing to listen, who in the hell would believe me? Michaels looked at her. All right, meet us at the building after school. Michaels stood up. Remember to think about what we told you. Rita nodded and headed to class. She made it through the day and actually took a math test and did well. She went to softball practice and called Aunt Shelley. I wanted to let you know I'm going to go by the bowling alley for a little while, Rita notified Aunt Shelley. All right, Aunt Shelley smiled to herself. Just be home early enough to do your homework. I finished my homework before practice, Rita said. Also, look on the bike rack, Shelley informed her. It's the blue one on the end. It's locked up but the key is under the back tire. Awesome. Thanks, Aunt Shelley. We'll see you later, Aunt Shelley declared. They hung up. She headed over to Michaels and Austin. She wanted to look at her dad's file. She rode up to the building and pulled her bike into the foyer at the bottom of the stairs. She leaned her bike against the stair rail and headed upstairs. Austin was there waiting on her. Where's your buddy? Rita asked as she looked around the office. He should be right behind you, Austin said, and shortly after Michaels walked in. So, where's the file? She asked. What's the rush? Michaels asked. I'm pressed for time, she informed them, and I'm sure you didn't invite me here for my sparkling personality. Austin threw the file on a table and she sat down to read. She went through the file quickly. What did you get out of that? Austin looked at her. You went through that awful fast. 3 times he told people he had suspicions about a leak. She advised him and stood up. Only 2, Michael said. 3, she shook her head. Once in Afghanistan, once in Sudan, and once in Somalia, she retorted. Austin looked at the file. She's right. He told the same man in Sudan and Somalia. Handy, and a different man in Afghanistan are shirts, she informed the 2. Austin looked it up and she was right again. On all 3 occasions the one in charge was the same on y'all's end, she informed them as she grabbed her backpack. You don't have one double agent. She turned to look at them. You have 2. How do you figure? Michaels questioned her. I bet, if you look into it, our shirts is dead, she surmised. He was the one that my dad told only once. How did you get all that out of this? Austin questioned her as he tapped on the file. She stepped toward the door. What would y'all do if someone told you they suspected a leak? I would report to my supervisor, Michaels informed her. And if you found out that someone died, and still nothing had been done? Austin nodded. She was right. You would be required to go above your supervisor. Your double agents are going to be handy, and whoever the supervisor, KL, is, she said as she opened the door. All of the supervisor's info was conveniently redacted, with 2 exceptions, and then it was only KL. And the incidents he reported to Handy were filed by someone else. Rita threw her backpack over her shoulder. I would bet he reported his concerns more than the 3 times. You can start training after graduation, Michaels notified her. I'll be the one to come escort you. I can't dash, she started to protest. I don't want to hear it, Austin shook his head. You spent 30 minutes reading that file and you got more out of it than any of our analysts did. This summer is mine, she declared, and there was no debating that. September 1st, you're ours, Michaels advised, and he wasn't compromising. I have to go, she said and ran down the stairs. Don't forget to keep your head on, Michaels yelled behind her. She waved, grabbed her bike and headed out to the bowling alley around the corner. Jay, she said as she rode up. What's up? Just taking a break, he said with a smile as she set her bike down near the bench he was sitting on. What are you up to? Just coming to see how practice was today. She smiled and sat down next to him on the bench. It was great. I'm going to be starting on Friday, he grinned back at her. I'll be there. I know, he smiled at her. You always are. She looked over at him to say something when he moved in for a kiss. She was shocked and didn't know what to say. I'm sorry, Jason said and stood up to walk back in. No, wait. Rita grabbed his arm and pulled him back down. She then leaned over and kissed him. He scooted next to her and she put her arms around him. He held on to her and they laughed. I didn't want to screw it up, they both said at the same time and laughed again. Cassie and Micah walked out of the bowling alley. Are you guys together? Cassie questioned as they passed. We are now, Jason smiled and looked over at Rita. It's about time. Micah gave an exaggerated sigh and smiled. Rita and Jason laughed. Jason thought for a moment. How about after my game on Friday, me and you go do something? What do you want to do? Rita asked. I don't care, Jason said and gave her a peck, as long as it's with you. Rita smiled and hugged Jason. They visited for a short while, but Rita had to get home. I hate this, Rita looked up at him, but I have to go. Man, Jason grumbled. I have a bike again. She waved her hand over her bike on the ground. I see that, he chuckled. You want to pass by on the way to school and we'll ride together? That sounds good, Jason smiled. I'll see you tomorrow. Rita wanted to burst. She couldn't wait to get home to tell Aunt Shelley. She snaked through town and pulled into the driveway. She put her bike in the garage and ran inside. Aunt Shelley, Rita ran in excitedly. What is it, honey? Guess what? Shelley looked at her. Jason? Yes. And they started jumping up and down. They hugged and continued to jump up and down. Uncle John and Dave looked at the two from their spot in the living room like they were crazy. John turned to Dave, his section partner. What was that? Dave questioned. I have no idea, John said and went back to the game. The two giggled for a little longer and Aunt Shelley picked up her purse. Hey John, Uncle John turned to look at her. Order a pizza? Okay, John said and turned to watch the game. We're going to eat out. Shelley tossed her purse over her shoulder. All right, he said, and he and Dave cheered at the play. The two ladies headed out and landed at a quiet restaurant on the other end of town. Rita informed Aunt Shelley of what had happened earlier that afternoon. Are you serious? Aunt Shelley asked excitedly. Yes. Rita whispered. He just leaned over and kissed me. I didn't know what to say. What did he do? He started to walk back in, so I stopped him, Rita explained. The two giggled and laughed, and it just felt nice to relax. At one point during the dinner, Rita looked up and saw Michael standing near the bathrooms looking at her. Rita casually excused herself and walked to the bathrooms. Austin and Michaels pulled her into the women's bathroom. Those people following you, Austin explained, are mercs. You have no idea how careful you have to be. You need to talk to my uncle, Rita said. Michaels looked at Rita. I think she's right. He's working later tonight, Rita told him and walked to the door of the bathroom. I want to be there when y'all talk. Go back to your dinner, Michaels said. We'll be in touch, Austin said as she left. Rita went back to dinner and enjoyed the simplicity of the moment. Soon the ladies went home. Uncle John was getting ready for work when they got home. I thought you didn't go to work until 10 tonight, Aunt Shelley commented as she set her purse down. He laced his boots as he sat on the couch. They called me in a couple of hours early tonight. Shelley turned to go into her and Uncle John's room. Uncle John looked at Rita. Rita took the dry erase board off of the refrigerator and wrote, I want to go. Uncle John nodded and she erased it, placing it back on the refrigerator. Hey, hon, John yelled to Shelley, would you mind if Rita rode with me for a couple of hours? You can do that? Shelley asked as she walked out of the bedroom. Yeah, I talked to the chief, he said it was all right. John stood up and put his gun belt on. I did my homework before softball, Rita pled her case. I don't see why not, Shelley said. I might sit and watch a movie, Shelley thought wistfully. You ready? Uncle John asked Rita as he picked up his bag for work. Yes, sir, Rita said and was right behind him out the carport door. They both climbed in the patrol car and closed the doors. Uncle John, Rita turned to him as he fired up the engine. I think I know what it is Dad sent me. What is it? John looked at her eagerly. I don't know if you remember, but Dad sent me a gift for my 12th birthday. She looked up at Uncle John. He stopped and listened to her. What's so big about that? Dad died 3 months before that birthday, she reminded him. He held out his hand. Where is it? He knew it couldn't be too big. Rita reached behind her neck and unclasped her necklace. She slid the charm off and handed it to Uncle John. Could there be anything on the charm? Rita questioned. I'm not sure, John said and slipped the charm into his shirt pocket. Let's get going. Uncle John drove to the building Austin and Michaels were at, and the two ran upstairs to their office/residence. John, Austin said as he opened the door, we have a lot of stuff for you tonight. Rita, I'm glad you came. You need to hear this too, Michaels said, seeming to have just come out of the shower. Rita came up with something that I had forgotten about. John revealed to the two. Let us show you what we found out first. Michaels pulled out a folder and threw it on the desk. This is who's following you. Michaels pulled out photos of each of the subjects. They all served together. Obviously, the women didn't serve in combat, but they were heavily trained after they left the military. John picked up a picture. I know this guy. I served with him for a short while. He was a first-class asshole. John thought for a moment. It was like he wasn't human. What do you mean? Austin asked. Our team, when we were on a mission, we were all business, John explained. But when we were off, we were off. We enjoyed life, we were laid back, we enjoyed our families, and kicked back a few. Austin and Michaels nodded. Just like anyone else in a high-stress job would do, Michaels stated. Yeah, but when he was off, he would keep that state of mind you would be in on the job. He would never let his guard down, even around his brothers, John continued to explain. It made us all think he had something to hide or he was just psychotic. The team leader quickly had him transferred. We found out later, he must have been the same on each team he went to because he bounced around from team to team. We heard he was given a dishonorable discharge altogether, but we never found out why. You pretty much just described every one of them, Austin divulged. The point being, these are all really bad people. You, he looked at Rita, need to be extraordinarily careful. John turned to her. No more bike riding until this is over with. John notified her with an absoluteness that left no room for debate. Yes, sir, she said. Also, the man from the school, Austin informed the two. We ran his fingerprints and DNA and found an Interpol warrant for contract murder. He would have had no problem killing everyone in that room, Michaels added. What country was it from? John questioned him. South Africa, Austin informed him. What's Interpol? Rita questioned. It's an international police agency. They search for criminals who are well versed in world travel, John explained. John turned to Michaels and Austin. Is South Africa his home country, or the country of offense? He is Norwegian, Austin explained, but he was raised in Russia. Over the last 20 years, a lot of former KGB agents hung out shingles and offered their services. John nodded. Who do these double agents work for? Rita asked. That, Austin commented, is a very good question. What did y'all find? Michaels inquired. John reached in his pocket and pulled out the charm from Rita's necklace. He would have sent this, at most, within a day or two of being killed, John said as he put it in Michael's hand. She got it for her birthday, 3 months after he died. Michaels and Austin looked at it. Do you mind if we take it apart? If it's what we've been looking for, my dad would have done it anyway, she shrugged as they looked at the charm. I think it opens here, Michaels said and pulled open the tiniest of compartments. Microdots spilled out. They counted 20 of them. He must have got a shitload of information, Austin said. Michaels stood up and went to a back room and came back with a microscope. They placed one on a slide and looked at it. Michaels looked at it and appeared to read it. He soon fell back in his chair. Austin, Michaels motioned for him to look as he stood up. Austin sat and read for a moment. Is that who I think it is? Austin questioned as he looked up at Michaels. Who is it? Rita questioned somewhat impatiently. The Deputy Director of Counterterrorism, Michaels advised her. John turned to Rita. School and work, that's it, you hear me? Yes, sir. Rita didn't want to mess with these guys. John took Rita home and began to prepare for the next few days, but it wasn't going to take that long. The two men watched the pair leave. We need to pick up the team that has been tailing her, Austin said to Michaels as they walked back in the office. I'm going to make arrangements for our team to fly in as soon as possible, Michaels informed Austin. The sooner the better, Austin said. Now we need to get this information to trusted hands.